Hello, good people. Today I'm going to discuss a bit of the due diligence processes and be able to decode what basically I mean about due diligence, and in this case, the architectural diligence. So I'm basically going to discuss the importance of due diligence. Also touch a bit of the types of due diligence, so that at least I explain my broader perspective in terms of the channel that I'm running and the things that I intend to cover in this channel. Then finally I also look at the due diligence processes, so that at least as I discuss more topics on due diligence under the architectural diligence, at least you will be able to understand the scopes that I'm talking about. So today, allow me to basically now delve into due diligence itself, and maybe even ask ourselves, what does due diligence mean? And basically, from the word diligence, is basically an aspect of investigating. You're trying to dig down something, maybe in real estate, maybe in whatever you are doing out there, in terms of any job that you want to undertake, a project that you want to undertake. Due diligence is critical. Okay, even when you're sick and you want to go to a hospital, you may need to check the hospitals that are around you, maybe the condition that you have. That process of trying to look for the best doctors that will be able to attend to you on your ailment, that's still part of due diligence. Even when you're looking for a school for your children, you basically walk around, look at the schools that are around your neighborhood, and then you settle on one. And maybe some of the things that you check is the school fees they charge, the mode of transportation, the extracurriculum activities. That's basically a process of due diligence. So, and what you actually normally do in those processes is basically an investigation. And once you investigate, you also now go further and verify the information that you get, because most of the time you'll be referred by your friend. So you also go through a process called verification, which is still a due diligence process. And then once you gather all this information, you evaluate. In projects we talk about monitoring and evaluation, but before you actually get to the monitoring, in this case, in the due diligence process, you actually evaluate all the relevant information you've been able to receive, so that you're able to make an important decision. And why do you carry out investigation? Why do you carry out verification? And why do you evaluate? Basically, it's for one single reason, one single purpose, is to reduce risk, okay? To uncover any potential issue that may be hidden, okay? You don't want to take your kids in school in the neighborhood, then their transport is not sorted out, or the kids are taken, they come home late. So you may need to uncover, by doing due diligence, you will uncover that there's some potential risk or some potential issue that may come up. And finally, is to help you make an informed decision, because if you're not taking any kind of a project, there's nothing bad like getting into a project, then along the way you find you made an informed decision. So why you do investigation, why you verify, and why you evaluate, is to make sure that at the end of the day you make an informed decision. Basically, I've touched about importance as I outlined, but I'll go deeper on the importance of due diligence. Number one is basically to avoid costly mistakes. If today you're buying a piece of land, you're buying an apartment, why you make a due diligence is to make sure that you avoid any mistake by buying a land that is in dispute, buying an apartment that is not sound. So basically that helps you to avoid costly mistakes. Then the other aspect is to make sure that you detect legal and technical risk. Okay, what do I mean by detecting legal and technical risk? Basically here, legal basically means looking at the ownership of the piece of land that you want to buy, looking at the the zoning of that particular neighborhood, looking at any encumbrance on that title. There could be a charge, it could be a private, it could be a public land, there could be a caution. So that's what a legal process helps you to dig. And even I talked about the root of title, where you actually go deeper over and above a mere search in terms of verifying the piece of land that you're buying. And then the other aspect you evaluate there is what I talked about, the technical risk. Technical risk here, I'm basically talking about is the neighborhood that you want to build. Let's say you want to do an apartment. How are the soils in that neighborhood? Is it black cotton? Is it red soil? Is it a rocky area? Is it on a slope? Because those are aspects that are technical in nature, and they will affect the design of that building. So that process helps you to evaluate and detect any legal and technical risk. The other importance of due diligence is basically to confirm ownership and compliance, because it's critical to make sure that the property that you're buying, the person selling it to you, whether it's a limited company, it's an individual, is to ensure that the person selling is the actual owner. Of course, you have to get the IDs, you have to get their PIN. Sometimes even for limited companies, you do a search at the company registrar to make sure that the ownership of that company is what is represented on that title. Then the issue of compliance. Compliance here I mentioned about is zoning. Okay, maybe you're looking to buy an industrial land, a land that you want to develop an industrial park. How is the zoning of that neighborhood? Does the bylaws of that, the approved maps by the county, do they support that use that you want to buy that land for? So due diligence will help you uncover those kind of things, basically ownership and compliance. Does it comply? And even checking the issues of has the landowner been paying rates? Has the landowner been paying the land rent? Those basic simple things that you need to do once you own a piece of land. And then the most critical is to protect your investment. That's an importance why you carry out due diligence, is wholesomely to protect your investment. And finally, the importance of due diligence, as I said earlier, is to make sure that you make a confident decision. There's nothing important as confidence when you're investing, and because in this case you're actually plowing your money into a development. And then now allow me to delve into types of due diligence in a summary format, which I'll be able to cover them in length each by each, but today I will outline around 6 types of due diligence. Okay, and the first one is basically what we call a legal due diligence. Legal due diligence basically here helps you to evaluate the ownership. Okay, the title, is the title available? Okay, it helps you to uncover encumbrances on that piece of land or a piece of a house that you want to buy, and also it helps you to uncover whether the approvals were done. May it be land, may it be a building that you want to buy. Are the approvals available? Maybe you're buying into a master plan project. Are the approvals available? Basically, those are what we are calling legal due diligence. Then we have technical due diligence. Basically, this is a process of what we call a site visit, carrying out site visit. This is how you will be able to sort out technical due diligence. And this is you are basically looking at site conditions. Are you in a slopy ground? Is it marshy? Okay. Is it public land? Okay. By doing a site visit, you're able to know actually this is a road reserve. Okay. So structural integrity, because if you are doing a high rise, if you are doing even a low rise, the land might have been a quarry and the backfilling has been done. That can only be established through a technical due diligence. Then the other aspect is basically what we call an engineering assessment, and this is basically simple process like what engineers would carry out geotechnical surveys, basically to help you evaluate the kind of soils and the bearing capacity of those soils. If you are doing a high rise, a low rise, so that in future your building don't coming down. Okay, that's basically what we are calling technical due diligence. Then the third one is what we call planning due diligence. Planning due diligence is where you get your architect, you get your surveyor, and your physical planner to be able to dig about or dig documentation on zoning. Maybe you want to develop a residential estate. How is the zoning of that particular? Is it a ruralized residential area? Is it approved for sparsely developed buildings? Is it for high rise? Is it for industrial? So basically, zoning helps you to dig out those aspects. The land use, what is the use of that particular piece of land, and the development controls. These are basically the bylaws that you get in the counties in terms of what is allowed in a particular neighborhood, how many floors are able to go, the coverage, the plot ratios. These are things that you're able to evaluate through what we call a planning due diligence. Then the fourth one is what we call financial due diligence, because anytime you're undertaking any kind of a project, it's important whether you are doing a 1 million project, a 2 million, 3 project. It's good to evaluate whether the amount of money that you have will be able to sort out or finish up the project. And if it is not able to finish the project, where will you get the other finances? Basically, here you're looking at costs of a project, looking at the returns. If you're in development, to develop and sell or to let, so what is the return on investment, the ROIs, and then the project viability. Again, you don't want to plow money into a project and then you can't sell, you can't liquidate. So you need to investigate on viability of that project. How long will it take to pay? Because you've taken a mortgage, you've taken a debt, and even may have investors on board. How long will it take to get your return? Then the fifth one is what we call environmental due diligence. Very important, because now we are moving toward the ESGs in terms of green buildings, in terms of greening our neighborhoods. And these are critical issues that even in your simple house, in terms of your landscape, in terms of your backyard, how green are you? Okay, in terms of lighting to your house, all those things are under environment due diligence. Okay, and here we are looking at environmental impact assessments. Okay, how will your project impact the neighborhood? Okay, the drainage issues. How will you drain the storm water? How will you drain the grey water? Is this a sewer line? Do you have a sewer line? Is it a biodigester? Is it a septic tank? Basically, how do you sort out the waste? How far is the dumping site for the garbage in case you're actually producing a lot of waste? And basically, these actually would apply highly people who are moving into industrial zones, so that when you produce waste, how do you dispose that waste? Then finally, the issue of conservation in terms of due diligence, because now we are encouraged to make sure that we have what we call a footprint of a green aspect in every development. So environmental due diligence will help you to evaluate what are some of the environmental measures you need to take as you start a particular project. Then finally is what we call commercial due diligence. Okay, and here I'm looking at the market demand. If you're developing to sell, if you're developing to let, if you want to do 2 bedrooms, how is the market and what are the rentals? If you are developing to sell, what is the demand in that particular area? If it's an apartment, is it 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom? So it is good to evaluate that mix. Competition, it's also good to look at what are your neighbors doing, so that you're able to look at the competition that you'll actually face as you do your development. Then we have business potential. It's critical. Okay, so that through commercial due diligence, this helps you to be able to sort out that. Then I look at, briefly, I will also look at the due diligence processes. What are some of the things that you need to undertake or need to prepare? Number one is basically define your objective as you go to do those processes. Gather relevant documentation and information. These are things you do at your desktop. If you're going to do what we call planning due diligence, get some maps from Survey of Kenya. If you're doing some legal due diligence, tell the person selling the piece of land to send you the initial documents, their copy of title, and make sure that all the pages are sent to you. Then the other basically is to verify facts with relevant authorities. Okay, if you're buying, let's say, land in Nairobi County, walk into the registry, in the county registry, into land's office, just to dig around the chief's offices in that neighborhood. This will help you dig some of the information that you require as part of due diligence. Even work to Bureau of Statistics, because you need data to evaluate financial viability of a project. And then conduct site inspection. Very important. Very important. And if you're not able to do that, hire consultants. Okay? If you want to evaluate, let's say, technical, you want to carry out technical due diligence, this is not something you can do by yourself. Get an engineer to go that ground, carry out your technical survey, so that you're able to get a proper report. Okay? If you're talking about waste management, get a lead expert, do that on your behalf, and they'll basically do a site visit on your behalf. Then assess risk and opportunities. Very important. Then prepare a due diligence report, because what you've gathered, the photos you've taken, the desktop materials, the information you've gathered through a report preparation. And most of the time, actually, what you get out of this report is basically what I would call a simplified feasibility study. This will help you be able to do that. Then make an informed decision whether to proceed with the project or to stop. Then finally, parting shot. What I tell my clients is that due diligence is not an expense. Don't ask why I need to buy that map from Survey of Kenya. Why do I need to do a search at land registry? Why do I need to do a site visit 10, 20 kilometers away? Why do I need to hire consultants to do a feasibility study? Okay? Why do I need to engage a financial consultant to do commercial due diligence, to prepare my BQs? Okay? So don't treat these processes as an expense. It's actually part of the project. An investment, you don't want to lose your money through that process. Okay? And why you do this is basically to reduce risk. And what I would say is that a thorough due diligence process can save significant time, money, and future dispute. So let's work together. I'll be able to break further into details of those particular points of reason, and work with me as I give out this knowledge in terms of architectural due diligence. See you in the next one. Asante.